Hello, it's May. Welcome to summer. We're going to do some coaching from the back porch because it's way more beautiful out here than it is indoors. So today's lesson for art and business is to think about who your ideal client is. Now, behind me, they're building a house. They are. Over here is my dog. But without these distractions, and the neighbors seem to be all out because it's summer and they're out, I wanted to talk about art and business because people think that if you're just a good artist, people are going to find your work and everything's going to be a-okay. And I can guarantee it's not. I watch numerous artists create a body of work, not know how to sell it, not know how to talk about it, end up discounting their work, or worse, it hangs around their studio for years until they knock it or break it or damage it in some way. So, if you want to be a successful artist selling your work, I've got some tips for you. Now, who am I? My name is Michelle. I run a business that's called the Glass Academy. You can go look us up and figure out everything that we do. But I also want to say, do not take business advice from someone who does not run their own business. Do not listen to all the people that are telling you, oh, you want to be an artist? You should sell on Etsy. Hey, what about Pinterest? Oh my God, Instagram, I saw this great clip. Let me show you. And they give you all this baloney. And if they're a professional artist and this is how they really made their living and have value, then I'd listen. But for most of them, don't give it too much thought, because what's going to happen is you're going to dilute your message and you're going to lose track of what you want to do and who is your audience and who you serve best. A perfect example is a friend of mine who's doing some coaching. We sat down and we talked about, he said, hey, I just hired a girl for social media and I want to know which platform I should use to promote my work. Great. What are you selling? Well, I'm selling this, 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 and this. Okay. It's kind of a lot, but let's just get started. We know what medium you're working in. You have years of talent. We can work with this. So the first question is what platform to sell on. Now he has his own website and he's been generating a mailing list because he has a gallery. So that's easy. But you might just be starting out. You might think, I'm going to build a website. But then who's going to come to your website? People have to know about it. Then you have to hook up shopping options, like how do they buy from your website? How do they pay you? There's so many things to figure out. So what you need to do is you need to start by evaluating who your perfect client is. Now, your work is not for everyone. Let's say, for example, you're a woodworker and you're turning these wood bowls that are like maybe 2 feet tall, so they're big. And it takes you, I'm not a wood turner, so I'm gonna guess, it takes you a couple days to make these. You gotta spin the log out, you gotta carve the inside, you have to think about the shape, then you need to sand it and lacquer it and do all the things, photograph it. So you spent numerous days and hours on this piece. Now, if you're new to the art world, you might say, well, the market could withstand this price. I'm just gonna put it out there for this price. What we have to think about is how much time and energy it took you to make the piece. From conception, finding the log in the woods, to sketching out the ideas, using the equipment, your time and labor, and now you've got a price tag. For the sake of this video, let's just say you're selling this piece at $2,000. You decide that is your price point. Great. Now you need to look at who can afford a $2,000 wood-turned bowl. You might say, that's obscene. No one can afford that. Maybe they can. And that's what we're here to find out. Someone who's going to buy a bowl like that for that amount of money is going to need a big house, because they want to display the bowl and have it look magnificent. They don't want to just stick it in a nook in their house or a cabinet. They want to have it on display so they can tell all their friends how amazing this wood bowl is, where they found the artist, what type of wood it is, and they want to tell the whole story of the piece. So now, if that's the case, I live in Ann Arbor, Michigan. I just saw a house listed for $8.5 million. I have no idea where this house is in Ann Arbor, but it's here somewhere. And in the showing of it, there were beautiful vistas where that wood bowl would fit amazing. So I need to look at who's the client. Who can afford an $8.5 million house? That is your target market. That's where that bowl is going to look amazing. Now let's back it up. You're a beginning woodworker. You don't make a $2,000 bowl yet. You're just learning how to figure out your lathe, get your grounding style down, and maybe you produce a bowl that's $60, $70, $80, $90. Where would you sell that, and who is your ideal client? Now for that, and a home goods store would be a perfect, like a local gallery or home goods store would be a perfect place, because most people will buy a salad bowl, like a nice big salad bowl, and they will pay that kind of money. You're going to a potluck, you got chosen for the salad, you bring along your salad, you put it in that bowl, it's going to look fantastic. And so there is a market for that type of customer. So what I'm getting at, the point is there's two very different markets here. And that all depends on where you land on a social platform to sell those items. That wooden bowl, maybe you just start out on Etsy. You're learning, you're gonna make you're gonna make a bunch of wooden bowls, and you're willing to sell them at a cheaper cost because you wanna make a bunch. So Etsy is an amazing platform to do that on. But, however, if you only want to do the large scale stuff and you really want to have something beautiful and lovely, and you only want to sell a few a year because it's important to you that you really have integrity in the work you're doing, your client looks different. You might want to have your own website, business cards printed up, or find a gallery, a high-end gallery in your neighborhood or somewhere else out of state that caters to that type of client who has a home that would work in. Now the neighborhood I live in was built in the early 1900s. I guarantee no one here has a house that could house something super big, but a salad bowl, absolutely. There'd be lots of target market customers in my town for that. So that's another thing to think about. Do you want to sell 10 smaller bowls for the same cost as one sculptural piece? These are all things that matter and need to be thought about as you're creating your art career and your business. Now I know when I was starting, this was not an option. It was just kind of like, oh, I'm a glass blower, let's blow glass, let's make a bunch of things. And in doing so, we made a bunch of things. Now we're like, oh my gosh, we have to sell these bunch of things. I'm having guests come and I'm wondering if they're showing up. So give this some thought. Who do you want your ideal customer to be? What type of work are you making? Because the ultimate goal of making the work is to sell it. You don't want to have it sitting around getting dust all on your shelf in your studio, because you're going to burn through your friends and family. You're going to give away pieces. People are going to ask for discounts. Once you get past that initial stage, you want to set yourself up for success. So give that a lot of thought. Who is your ideal client? If you were handing off your piece to someone, what would you say to them? How would you converse with them? Who would you want those people to be? And when you get that rolling, then you know the next steps of where you're going to sell your pieces, who you're going to offer them to, and what your price points are going to be. So these are lessons from the backyard, kind of like fireside chats, but these are the pain points that I see people struggling with. They just don't know where to begin, and then they kind of create some dead ends for themselves, and they're not sure how to get out of them. So if you're serious about your art career and want to grow it, I have lots of business tips, and I'm willing to share them all. So read the information below. There is a link that you can sign up for my email list. I'm doing a private Facebook group where we can do some Q&A. We'll set up some live times where we can talk about pain points that you have so we know how to grow the business. So have a great weekend, everyone. Have a great week. We'll keep building the house here. Maybe by the end of summer, we'll see a finished house here. All right, take care.